It's always salespeople. But if you think about it, they're doing it for the money and they have an agenda. And anyone who's generally not trusted, they're saying, I want to be able to create an outcome for me, even if it's not in your best interests. And anyone who's doing sales that way or running a business that way, they're not going to last. They're not going to be able to do well in the long term. And they're the reason why salespeople have a terrible reputation at large in society. And the reason why people are scared of sales, because they don't want that reputation.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of More Clients, Less Effort. I'm joined by a very special guest today I'm going to introduce shortly, but before we get into that, most founders are not so much running their business as their business is running them, and that story resonates with you, that statement resonates with you, you are in the right place today. Truth be told, most business owners hire risk jobs, not a business. My guest today, Patrick Woodcraft, empowers founders to turn their small business into a real asset, an income-generating machine that produces sales revenues on autopilot and grows without them. Right, that's the dream. Many owners think that this level of freedom is out of reach for them, but once we develop a plan, they never look back. Pat provides private consulting, delivers workshops, and runs masterminds and retreats to put the powers back in control of the founder's hands by helping them build a business that indeed runs without them. Please welcome my guest today, Patrick Woodcraft.
Thanks so much, Tim. It's great to be here. I'm stoked we could find the time to connect.
Mate, we connected a little bit a while ago, and certainly the messages that we both talk to in business, very much aligned. And I want to pull something out of your little bio there that particularly I think we lose sight of as business owners, because we're kind of down in the weeds, is that the business is there to serve us and not the other way around. Tell me about the first time that you discovered that paradigm shift.
For me, I was working, I've had a long career. I've been at this, actually, I just counted up recently. It's been 30 years. I got my first job in 1994, my first paper run, essentially my first business. And then now 2024, that's 30 years. And I counted up, there's 150 different organizations I've done, like either sales, marketing, or leadership work in and with and for. So you average it out, it's like 5 campaigns a month for 30 years straight. Of course, it didn't always work out like that, but that's a lot, right? And I remember as a young guy, I was running a bike shop because I'm an extreme sports athlete, and I was running a bicycle shop, living the dream, and I got a hold of the E-Myth somehow, Michael Gerber, right? Classic. And I've been reading a few business books, a bit of personal development stuff as a young man in my late teens and my early 20s. And then that one really had a big impact on me. And I'm like, right, business is a system that works for me to generate outcomes for me. It's not something it's not a job that I own. It's a business that, it's an asset that adds to my lifestyle. And that's how I've looked at business, ever since. I've always, with my clients and with my work, always tried to create a business that generates revenue and creates lifestyle, not that, has me as a cog in the machine doing the work. It hasn't always worked out like that, but that's the idea, right?
Yeah, I must admit, certainly one of the first business books that I came across as well was, E-Myth. And
classic
E3's visited, and all the versions thereof, but we've just been sort of updated with more contemporary sort of comments on technology and stuff. But you're absolutely right. This is an asset. I think we lose sight of this. We don't look at business as an asset that produces. And I want to pull something out that you said just then that I think is really key for our listeners to take away. It's an asset for us, and the outcome is that our outcome. It's not the customer outcome. Right? I view it as this box. That if you like the visuals, I quite often throw things into visuals in my head, right? There's a conveyor of people that goes into a black box that delivers a customer outcome, right? Byproduct is a customer outcome, but the thing that the box is supposed to produce is profit for us. And that allows us to then work on the box and making it more effective at producing customer outcomes. And if we produce reasonably good customer outcomes, those customers will get back onto the conveyor belt again and go through it.
Exactly. Then you're exactly right. It's the difference between working on the business and working in the business. And when you're too busy working in the business, you can't read the wine label from inside the bottle, right? So when you're in there, it's really hard to have objective perspective on your business and see what's going on. It's even hard to deliver amazing, outstanding customer outcomes because you need to be, excellent in your business. Otherwise, someone's going to come and take all your clients, take all your customers, you're out of business. So that's super important. But you need to be able to have that perspective, which means you need to have a business that works essentially without you at some point, at some level. And of course, businesses don't start out there. You start out spending some time in the business and some time on the business. And then you want to transition from most of your time in the business to most of your time on the business as you generate assets.
You made a comment pre-show just on the importance of sales or sales skills in doing stuff, right? And then we're going to talk later on a little bit more around the attraction, conversion, and retention process of that profit-generating engine we're going to drill into. What was it that for you that really attracted you to the game of sales? And, why do you think it's the most important thing that a business owner can improve?
Good question, Tim. There's probably a few things coming to mind. The first thing that came to mind is an old Kiyosaki. I remember listening to Robert Kiyosaki, and he said to be successful in business, there's 2 skills you must develop. You got to sell. You've got to be able to sell. This is from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? So his Rich Dad said, you've got to be able to sell. So sales is your first skill. The second skill is leadership. You've got to be able to lead people. You've got to be able to have a vision and inspire people to follow and create what you want to create. So I went, well, if sales is the first skill to be successful in business, and I want to be successful in business, let's go and learn sales, right? So that was really it for me. I was just like, I made it really simple. And then the next thing was I was in Mission and Commission with Bob Proctor. I don't know if you remember Bob, right? And so obviously with The Secret and all that stuff, but before that, he was big on sales training, and it's always been a lot about mindset. There was a line in there. He said, look, there's not another position. If you're going to work for a company, there's not another position that in any role that can write their own paycheck. It's only sales. And if you're on straight commissions as a sales guy, you can earn as much or as little as you work. And he had a formula for that and how it works out. But he said any other role, from the secretary to the CEO, their salary and their income and, what they're going to get paid is pretty much determined by the market. But as a salesperson, as a commission-only sales guy, you're in control of your income. And I really like the idea of being in control. And of course, that's why we go into business, is so that we can, forge our own destinies and direct our own paths.
Wave the flag.
But it's really for that sense of autonomy and freedom and control. And that comes from being able to generate revenue or generate income, which of course is back to that fundamental skill of sales, being able to generate a lead and convert them in, from a prospect to a sale through a conversation or through, whatever mechanisms you're doing that is appropriate for your business. That's the fundamental skill. So for me, I just thought, well, if that's the foundations of all of it, I want to get really good at that.
Yeah. Why do you think that people are so afraid of sales then?
There's a number of reasons. I always think, if you remember, those surveys that they do of the most trusted professions in our society.
Sales people in there.
Well, the top of the list is always like primary school teachers, nurses, and
doctors,
like dentists or something, or doctors and dentists, like those kind of guys, always at the top, right? Primary school teachers and nurses, you're just salt of the earth. We love them. Like fireys and police officers as well, generally rate pretty well on that. And then at the bottom of the list, what is it? Like lobbyists, politicians, and used car salesmen, right? It's always salespeople. But if you think about it, they're doing it for the money, and they have an agenda. And anyone who's generally not trusted, they're saying, I want to be able to create an outcome for me, even if it's not in your best interests. And anyone who's doing sales that way or running a business that way, they're not going to last. They're not going to be able to do well in the long term. And they're the reason why salespeople have a terrible reputation at large in society, and the reason why people are scared of sales, because they don't want that reputation. But I think about it in terms of sales isn't what I do to someone, it's what I do for them. And if I come to you, Tim, and I listen to you and I understand your problems and I understand your situation and circumstances and I understand your limitations, and I can see exactly where you're at right now. And from my heart, I care for you and I love you and I want what's best for you. And I put my own self-interest aside for the time being and go, I know if I help enough people get what they want, I'm going to be taken care of. I'm going to be fine. So right now, what's Tim need? And if he's here and he wants to be here, and we're clear on what your goals are, we're clear on your vision, we're clear on your future state. Now we've got A and B. We know where you are. We know you want to be. Making a path to get from here to there is generally pretty straightforward, because I'm outside of the bottle. I can read the label. I can see where you are and where you want to be. And if I can help you get there, then I have a duty and obligation to do everything in my power to say, look, you're stuck here. You're not going to get here. You can't get there from here, but I can show you the way. We can show you the steps and I can get you there, right? And if I can honestly, hand on heart, get you there, then I've got an obligation to be able to do the best I can in terms of, being influential and persuasive and building trust and getting you to know, like, and trust me and all the things to get that outcome for you. And equally so, if I can see you here and you want to be here and I'm not the guy to go on that journey with you and I can't get you there, then I got to be the first to say, hey, Tim, I see where you're at. I see where you're headed. Mate, I can't help with that. That's not my expertise, but go and speak to, or go and let me connect you to, or let me introduce you to. And I'm usually the first to say no to a client if it's not a great fit. You know, if I can't help them get to where they want to go, I want to take them on as a client.
You're right. I think that's a real fundamental shift in how you think of sales. And I think, we have a deep-seated need as humans for connection and acceptance, right? And every time you're sort of putting something in front of somebody that they go no for, don't want it, we can take that as a personal rejection, which again goes against that fundamental need for connectivity with other people in the community, right? So sales is one of those things that if we keep putting things in front of the wrong people and potentially coming at it with the wrong agenda, then of course we're going to feel uncomfortable and we're going to feel rejected and we're going to feel that personal sort of pain with it, rather than saying, I can actually help you. And I think business in general, and one of the great passions of mine about business is that I want to help people succeed, genuinely want to help people succeed at changing their world.
Yeah.
Okay. You have chosen this path that very few people choose.
Yeah.
Let me help you if we can. If it's a good fit, let me help you actually achieve that goal and create a sort of lifestyle for your family and your loved ones and the world you want to change, the world you want to see as a result of the work that you do. All right. And that's the great thing about, again, entrepreneurs in general, right? We have this grander picture, right? And it's very rarely, full of self-interest, is it?
No, I mean, it's never sustainable if it is. Your vision is always for them. It's never for you. I've got a vision for my life, but that's not what drives me. It's my vision for the world that I want to live in, for the world that I want to live for my children. That's why most of the entrepreneurs, most of the business people that I'm talking to and that I'm working with on a daily basis, a lot of the time we start out in business to make some money and earn some freedom. But as soon as you tick that box, you're like, well, now what? Shit, I can change the world. Like, now I can actually make a difference. Now I can actually build a better world. And for me, with 3 young kids, I'm like, what's the world that I want to leave for them? How can I solve problems that's facing humanity and the world now without hopefully creating too many new ones, right? Because every generation we solve a bunch of problems that we're facing and create a whole bunch of new problems for the next generation. And they go, Mum and Dad, you guys were idiots. You did this.
Why didn't you know this? 2024 start, right?
Exactly. So you're right. The vision's always for them, never for you.
When was it that you decided to stop working for other people and do this for yourself, to create that vision for yourself?
Yeah, I make this decision regularly, right? I often think, God, it'd be great if I just had a job and someone else could take care of all the finance, accounts, administration, the HR, recruiting, like all the bullshit, all the stuff that I'm just not cut out to do and that I don't put my hand up to do for clients. And I could just focus on the sales, generating revenue, building teams, like recruiting, training, and manage sales teams, like the things that I'm trained to do and that I'm good at and that I love. And then someone else could take care of everything. And I could just be an employee and I could take my pay and I wouldn't have any stress. It'd be amazing. Now I know in my heart I can't do that. Like I can't, because it's just not in me to live that life. But I often fantasize about it. I can tell you. I'll be honest with you.
No, you're not alone in that. But when was it for you? What was the kind of the thing that I've got to get out of this working for somebody else?
Yeah, for me,
it's my own thing.
It was working in corporate. So I've worked with some of the biggest builders, like in residential construction, Metricon and Simmons and some of those big guys, and also recently in the automotive industry. So MC Holdings, the biggest, publicly listed, biggest motorcycle retailer in the country. And in corporate, you can go and make another $1 million for a company and they go, oh, this is great, great, tick that box, we'll renew your contract. And it's wonderful. Everybody's very happy. And it's like, what have I actually changed? What have I influenced? What have I actually done here? But I go and do that for a small business owner, like for a founder who's starting something with a small team, half a dozen people, and you go and double, triple, quadruple their sales conversions and their revenue. And like, you've completely changed a handful of people's life. Like their life will never be the same again. So for me, that's what lights me up. I go, right, I can go and apply my skills in corporate and get paid, or I can come and work in small business and all the challenges of that. And, I'll still be taken care of because I know in my heart I'm still looking after people. However, it just lights me up because I know, as much as we're making money, we're absolutely changing lives. And in that small business, then I can kind of and help them to see that, look, now we're making money. What's the difference that we're going to make? And we can go and have a greater purpose as well. Right? I read
that's really the tangible, immediate response.
Yeah.
that you can see. And you can actually see the smile on someone's face and the life that you've changed as a result of that.
And then the nice thing is, like with a public listed company, you can go and make that extra money and then they'll just keep doing what they're doing. But with a small business, as soon as they're profitable beyond what they thought they could do, and we've got some systems in place, so they're making money on autopilot now, then all of a sudden they're going, what else? What else is possible? Because I could just go and make another $1 million. And sometimes they do that a few times. That's great. But then, look, I can actually make a difference. And you start talking about conscious capitalism and social entrepreneurship and really making a difference and using your business skills and your revenue to make a change. It's something that's on their heart. And I find that for most entrepreneurs is far more sustaining long term than just, hey, I'm just going to make another $1 million. I'm going to make another $1 million, which is great. And I'm a capitalist. I've got nothing wrong with that. But if you can make a difference and really, solve major problems facing humanity that are in your heart to solve, I just see that lighting people up. And I see when people burn out and I go, hey, let's make another $1 million. And they just go, oh, what's the point? But when I go, hey, look, what's that issue? And, because I had some conversation with someone just recently and they were saying, did you know, they were telling me some stats around the amount of human trafficking and young girls, especially going into the sex trade, like just horrific numbers. And he's like, I can't live in a world with it. There's a guy with a daughter. I don't want to live in a world where that's happening. I'm like, right, let's get this sorted out. We've completely changed his business to be able to focus on, he's still selling his products and services over here, but now he's driving towards eradicating that, right? And will he completely eradicate it? I mean, there's lots of people working on it. It's a huge problem, but now he's part of that driving force to have a world where that doesn't exist. And there's so many massive problems.
That's right. And I think, it's an interesting one. You may not necessarily solve it, but you most definitely won't solve something like that if you don't try.
Well, if he solves it for one girl, right, and made a massive difference to her life, and he's impacting a lot of girls.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Well, even it comes back to your sale. If you don't make an offer, the answer is always no. Let's pivot, because I'm really interested in looking at your approach to sales. I know you've picked up a whole bunch of things from a huge number of influencers and mentors over your 30-year career in sales. Talk me through how you approach the conversion conversation in your business.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to share. And probably good to put it in context a little bit. I look at sales strategy as a pretty simple matrix. On the one side, you've got your lead source, like where are these leads coming from? And on the top, maybe you've got your conversion mechanisms. So that gives you a grid, right? So wherever these leads are coming from, maybe they're coming from your social or, LinkedIn or Facebook or paid ads or referrals or, an affiliate program or lots of different places leads can come from. And then how are you converting them? How are you actually inviting them into a buying conversation and asking them for money? I think marketing is like getting people to put their hand up and go, oh, that's me. I'm that guy with that problem looking for that solution. And then sales is getting them to put their hand in their wallet and bring out money, right? That's it. Put it down. We got you now. So marketing is always like, how can we identify those people, or better yet, get them to identify themselves and go, yeah, that's me. And then sales is like, all right, do we actually have a match? Do you actually have the problem that we solve? Can we actually solve the problem that you have? Is this right? And if it is, we'll take you as a client. And if it is, then you'll want us to, help you with that. So the conversion mechanism, and there's lots of different conversion mechanisms, everything from, hey, let's just jump on a call, right? Maybe we do a discovery session, a strategy session. In my industry, that's a really common way to do it, like coaching and consulting and that kind of work. Let's just kind of scope it out and let's see what you need. Then let's map out a strategy. And then if the strategy fits, then here's my services, come and buy my services. Or it could be click here to buy now, right? If you're doing a consumer goods, high volume consumer goods type thing. Or it could be come to my webinar and then go into this and then, whatever the sales pipeline is. We've got marketing funnels and we've got sales pipelines, and we're just moving people through those stages until we get to either a yes or no. And I'm okay either way, you're in or out. And if you're in, great, let's do this. And if you're out, great, if I can point you in the right direction, whatever it is, but if we've got a match. So for me, my current sales strategy, and of course I'd say with that, so on the one hand, we've got lead sources and conversion mechanisms. Then your lead sources is very, while that's the fundamental part of your strategy, it's your messaging as well. Like, what are you actually saying to attract those people? What are they showing up for? What are the problems that they're putting their hand up for? And then the conversion mechanism is, what's the conversation look like? Like, what's the specific steps? So while those two axes remain, the words, the content, the conversation of that, the language of that is super important every step of the way so that we're attracting the right people and converting the right people, right? Yeah. So for me in my business right now, my lead source is literally just business owners that I know and business owners that they know. And that's my whole strategy right now.
Right.
Very, very simple.
Strategic partner referral process.
Simple as that. And just people I know. And then my conversion mechanism is, let's have a call. I'll have a conversation with you.
So let me break down what you do pre-call, okay? And I totally get it, right? Marketing's job is to get people to raise their hand and identify that they're interested in a particular topic. And hopefully, the job of a sales development rep, one of the services that we do is to actually get them from I'm interested to yes, I'd like to have a call. And that's the job of the SDR. Let's say someone's interested in having a call. What do you do? And obviously with referrals from strategic partners, your partner has met someone and says, you need to have a chat with Pat because he's brilliant at the problem that you have right now. Okay. In fact, if you're in professional services in general, this is a system that you want in place. Strategic partnerships, they are good. All right. Talk to me what you do with specifics. What do you do pre-call? How do you start the call? What's the process? Do you have a structure that you run through on a call, and what happens after? Okay, let's go pre-call. Right, someone's interested. They said, "Yep, I booked into your calendar." What happens now?
Cool. I'm a big advocate of selling with scripts. I always use a script. Every conversation. I mean, not this conversation, but every sales conversation where I know more or less where we're starting, and I know more or less where we'd like to end up. Then there's a process and there's a number of stages, and I'll write down the whole thing. Now, when I write out a script, or I'm writing a script for my business or for my client, when we're actually in the conversation, you'll probably use about a third of it, right? But we write the whole thing because you never know which third you're going to need, right? But the stages are always the same. So my scripts, while they're word for word, they're very often, I kind of think of them as conversation maps. So if you imagine the lay of the land and we're kind of here, and we want to end up here, we need to stay out of these swamps down here. We need to get over this high mountain pass. Like there's a few specific pieces that we know we need to get to, but how we get there, there's a number of different ways, but the steps are basically the same.
You run through on a call, and what happens after? Okay, let's go pre-call, right? Someone's interested. They said, "Yep, I booked into your calendar." What happens now?
So I'll have my script prepared, and I'll know what we're looking for. The first thing is basically an intro. So if I'm calling someone who's expecting the call, we'll jump in, and it's quite fine. I want them to be relaxed. I want them to feel good. I want to have some connection. That's fine. If I'm calling someone who's either not expecting the call, which is often the case, or someone who, I've never met before, maybe it's a referral, or maybe it's just someone who I've seen. I do a lot of outbound prospecting and encourage clients, if they're in a situation in their business where they're looking for no cost or low cost strategies to be able to sell reasonably high ticket items, then an outbound prospecting, call process with the SDR is a really, really valuable way to do that, because you can just, cruise through quite a lot of calls in a short period of time. But the introduction is really critical. So if I called you, you're busy, you're doing some things, you're setting up a funnel for a client, and you're working on it. Suddenly you get a call, you go, "Oh, who's this?" If I leave you in the state that you're in and don't break you out of that state and get your attention in an exciting way, you're going to, "Oh, this is just a nuisance, it's an inconvenience," so you're going to want to get me off the phone as quick as possible. If you can predict the end of the call.
We've all had some of those, right?
Right? They call you at 6 o'clock, you're just sitting down for dinner and they've got an accent, and then all of a sudden you're like,
that distinctive pause before it clicks and then you hear the background of a call center.
Yeah. The principle here is if I can predict the end of the conversation at the start of the conversation, I don't want to have the conversation.
Give me a practical example of...
Yeah. As soon as I hear this is a sales call, you're going to try to sell me something that I don't think I need right now, I'm doing, my defenses are up. I'm doing everything I can to get off this call. I don't want to talk to you another second. Just get out of my life, leave me alone. I don't have whatever product I don't want to buy. I'm not going to spend. Forget it. So if I start the call, like every salesperson starts every call, "Hi, it's me from company, and bore you, this is Patrick from Boringsville, and I'm just going to bore you with a big long script and a sales pitch, and I'm a robot, and I'm not a human being, and I don't actually care about you, and I've just got to go through the numbers because my manager said it's a numbers game, so if I call enough people, eventually someone's going to buy." That kind of approach, man, that's a tough gig, right? That's a lot of hard work, and that's no fun for anybody. No one enjoys that. But if I can get your attention initially and go, "Tim, the good-looking, hard-working marketing industry legend, the fact that you've got that website, or the fact that you've got that beard, oh my God, that tells me that you're a great leader, you're building an amazing business. This makes you the most interesting person in the world. I just want to hear from you, Tim. Tell me about you. Tell me about your business. What's going on?" And you're like, "Who is this guy? He's in love with me. He's fascinated with me. He's curious." And it's all about you. It's not about, "Hey, I provide these services and I do these things and I'm really good at this and I've been doing it for 30 years. And no one gives a shit. But if I can care about you and I can show that I've got a bit of research, I know something about you, and I can go, "Just tell me more," right? And very often people will go, like, I never heard anything like this. This is amazing. And then next thing, they tell me all about their business. And so then that's the introduction. That's stage one.
So pre-call, you're actually going to do that research. You're actually going to
absolutely.
So look at their socials and see what they're doing. And so that when you got on the call, that first intro, you should say, I love what you're doing. Or, I saw this on your website or something. I saw you in that article the other day. That's amazing. Congratulations.
There's that. If they're a referral, and like, so if Tim sends me to Dave, and I go, Dave, if you're mates with Tim, I know you're an awesome guy, because awesome people know awesome people. So tell me more about you. Tell me more about your business. That's fine. Or if it's, if you've built a funnel for them and they've opted in, they've ordered something, they've downloaded a thing, I mean, that's great, because then I can say, Tim, if you're interested in information like that, that tells me you're this kind of guy. That's, I want to talk to you. Like, tell me all about it. Why did you download that? What's going on in your business? What are you, So that's why the download process is so, like that initial offer, that tripwire, that first, let's get your details. And if you put a phone number field in there, your conversions will probably drop a little bit from landing a visitor to download. But you've got their phone number and you can have a conversation with them. So your next stage conversion goes through the roof, because you're not just trying to, constantly email them or run a campaign following them around the internet or whatever. You're actually having a conversation like two human beings.
Got a call, done the intro, set the scene, established rapport, right? Would largely call that the rapport stage. What happens next?
Yeah. The next thing is, as soon as you tell me anything about your business that's kind of interesting or juicy, I want to dive into that. So then I've got a set of questions all about, where are you generating your leads? How many leads have you got? What's your team look like? What's your revenue look like? What's your business? What's your goals? Where do you want to be? And then we work it back. Where are you at now? So I'm always trying to look at where are you? Where do you want to be? So if I can get those two things fairly clear in terms of lead gen, conversion mechanisms, team, prospects, website, like whatever is pertinent, relevant, and exciting or on your mind right now, they're the things that I want to dive into and get a bunch of detail. I'll look at lifetime value of a client. I'll look at, a lot of stuff, and people just go, well, what is that? How do I what's that mean? I say, oh, great. Well, look, let's have a look at this. Talk a little bit about it. I'll say, these are really important numbers to know. With your sales team, how are you tracking? Are you tracking their KPIs? You're tracking metrics? Are you doing daily check-ins? You just check in once a week? Like, how are you managing? How'd you recruit the team? How'd you enroll the team? What's the team look like? How are they performing? Like, all that kind of stuff. And I'm really going deep. I'm looking for numbers and I'm writing down like crazy. And I'll write a page of notes just on this phase, really trying to understand where they're at in their business and where they want to be. And if I can get those two states, the A state and the B state, that's from and that too, really clear, and then active listen it back and say, so Tim, it sounds to me like you're here right now and this is what's going on for you, but really you want to be here and you want Is that about right?
I think that's an interesting one that I've seen people don't do enough, and set that repetition back. You said this, is that right? Right? Did I understand you properly? It's really kind of the validation back to them and say, I empathize with you. I understand what you're saying. I think I've got this right. Is that correct? Right?
Yeah, massively important. And occasionally they'll go, it's not that at all. It's this. And I go, oh, okay, I did have it wrong. But more often than not, they'll just go, you get me. You feel me. Like, my wife doesn't listen to me that well. Like, this is amazing. Like, oh my God, finally someone who understands me. And you're thinking to yourself, literally all I did was just repeat back what you said to me. But the effect that has on people, and, it's just, it is so powerful to feel heard. I think that one of the greatest things anyone can do for anyone else is listen to them, like really listen and really hear, and not just be here waiting for my turn to talk. But, at this point, I'm just hanging on every word. Like, whatever you give me, I'm like, that's amazing. That's amazing. I really want to understand. Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And I'm just getting everything I can, and not as some like kind of ninjutsu trick so I can turn it on you and use it against you. It's just because I care and I want to understand, and I'm endlessly fascinated. I'm endlessly curious, and I really want to know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's call that discovery phase. We're going deep dive, drill into stuff, take people back. Hey, can I just come back to that thing you mentioned there and tell me more about that? Right. So we've got rapport, discovery phase. Where we go to next?
Number 3 is transformation. So no transformation, no sale is how I look at it. If I go, hey, listen, you're here, you want to be here, I can help you get there. It's $4,000 a month. Do you want some help with that? Yeah, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but whatever. But if I can help you see what the issues are, what the obstacles are. So Tim, can I give you a bit of feedback at this point? You're here, you want to be here. I can see, we get this, you know that, right? And I can see there's a path here. So here's the steps that people would take to get from here to there. Now for you, this one, that's not going to work because you've got this situation that's blocking. You can't do that. And you've got these limitations on your resources. So you can't spend that. So you've got all these issues here, and that's what's stopping you from getting there, right? You go, oh my God, that's it. right? But what if we could introduce some low cost or no cost strategies? Or what if we could do something that got around that? What if I could show you some ways? And then I'll start, we could do this. We could run retreats. We could sell more expensive things. What if we attracted better quality clients who were, prepared to spend a higher budget? What if we introduced new products and services at a higher price with bigger margins? What if we ran retreats? What if we ran webinars? What if we, there's so many things we could do. And I'm always looking at, out of everything that I know we can do in terms of, business offerings to improve, what's going to get you from here to here in light of your limitations? What if we did this and this and this? And that would get you from here to here. And we could probably, not in 3 years, but you could probably do that in 3 months, Tim, wouldn't it? Like, how would that, and you're like, oh my God, I never saw it before because I was so busy inside my business. I couldn't see it from the outside. It's not because I'm a genius. It's just because I've had thousands and thousands and thousands of conversations with men and women from all walks of life. So I can see very clearly what's going on. And then they've told me exactly what their challenges are. And because I'm outside the business and I'm not emotionally connected to it, I can just go, well, look, there's the steps. And then they have this big moment. They have this big breakthrough. And I go, what would that be like? And then we normally run some numbers just to check that I'm not crazy and it could actually work. So if we introduce something at 5 times your current highest offering, and that had this much margin in it, and we only sold 1 a week, right? Because we've got these people, a real database that you can go to, or we introduced a partnership strategy and we started talking to some partners and they sent you, 5 people a week. We had a conversation and we had 3 a month. Then what would that be? And they got their calculator. Oh my God, that'll make me another $1 million a year. I go, would you like that? And they're like, that's the breakthrough.
Yeah,
I think the critical.
There's one word I want to pull out that you've kind of dropped into that sort of thing, right? Into that future pacing as much as anything. It says,
yep.
If we could do that. I think that's a really powerful word in sales. If we were to do this with you, and achieve this result, would you want to do it?
That's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
But they need that transformation first. They need that breakthrough. They need to see. It's almost like for a lot of business owners, I think they're like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. The ship's going down. She's sinking. It's like it's over. Yeah. But they're like, if we just get the chairs in the right order, maybe things will be okay. And I show up on a speedboat going, hey, we're going to a tropical island. Let's get out of here. Like, they stop rearranging those chairs so fast because people are they're doing all these things, all these strategies that aren't really going to save them, that aren't really going to shift the needle, that aren't really going to make a massive difference. And I go, what if we could do 1, 2, 3 really simple things that we get a massive result in a short period of time? Like, they're on that speedboat so fast. And they're like, let's go. Then, of course, you've got to be able to get them there, right? With integrity. You've got to be able to actually...
Don't promise things you can't deliver.
Exactly. But if you can genuinely create an outcome for them, then it's like, well, look, stop flapping around with all this stuff. They're like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have money. Like, look at all the things you're doing that aren't getting you a result and look at what it's costing you to not get a result. This is the 4th phase, right? This is now we're going into the pitch.
Yep. This
is where we're going to actually go, I'm going to invite you to come and work with me and I'm going to ask you for money because I value myself and you're going to pay me and I'm going to deliver these results.
Why do you use the word invite?
For me, I'm pretty particular about the clients that I take on. I know for some businesses, that's not really necessarily the way, but for me, it's really important. I'll tell you a funny story. Can I tell you a story? In our modern word clients, which, we're talking about attracting clients and converting clients and having clients, comes from the Latin cluen, which is in ancient Rome. A cluen was one who was like someone who couldn't take care of himself in some area of their life. And they came under the protection of a patrician. Patrician's where we get our modern day word patron or Patrick, right?
Yeah.
So the Patrick would take care of the client and it was their sworn duty and obligation to serve and protect their client and provide for them in that area of their life and make sure no harm came to them. And I go, that's a heavy responsibility, right?
It's a massive responsibility.
Right. So I think when I'm taking on a client, it's going to be my sworn duty to protect and provide for them and support them and care for them and make sure no harm comes to them. Can I in good faith do that? Can I put my hand up and say, yeah, I can actually take care of you. I see where you're at, see where you want to be, and I can get you there and I can, make sure no harm comes to you in that process.
Okay. So this is step 4 is really asking for that commitment and/or directing them somewhere else and say, hey, I've noticed there are some things you need to sort out before we have the opportunity to work together. Go and do these things. I'm going to introduce you to Sally and she'll take care of it for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the 4th step, and there's a few pieces to this. So the first thing is, we want to establish the value and say, here's the problem. Here's the cost of the problem that you've got. Here's what it's costing you right now to not solve this in terms of lost sales revenue, opportunity costs, your health, the stress, the team, like relationships, like whatever it's costing them, we go, right, that's what it's costing them. So, I've got a consulting program, it's 10 grand a month. We can solve all that. Or I've got a mastermind for $4,000 a month, and we can work in a group environment, which is great. We can solve that problem for you. And I've probably got an idea of what's going to be appropriate for them. So we say, here's what it looks like. Here's the cost. Here's our irresistible offer with our bonuses or our value stack, or, however we're kind of stacking that up. And then,
yeah, nice. Okay. And then I'll start saying,
right.
And obviously the last part is, where do you want to go from here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very, very often I'll say, this is what my programs and services look like. Here's what it is. Here's the value. For you, let's just start with the strategy session where we'll actually map out in detail, come and spend an hour or half a day or a day with you and your team and map out in detail all the steps from where you are to where you want to be and all the different strategies that we're going to use. And we'll start working on some of the languaging, and we'll start putting together some of it, and we'll have it all there. And at the end of that session, if you think it was a waste of time, I'll give you money back. It's $1,000 for the half day. And, if it's rubbish, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to take your money. I'll give you money back. If you think it's valuable and you want to do it yourself with your team, and you'll have everything you need and my blessing, just go for it. Happy days, 100%. If you think it's valuable and you'd like some support, then I'm here for you. And then those two options will be available to you. And you just let me know which one you want to do at the end of the day, and we'll go for it. Simple as that.
I mean, obviously there's a lot more detail that we sort of go into as you sort of build out a sales script for someone and build out a process for someone. And it may vary based on which channel it comes through as well. And I guess the familiarization that...
The introduction will vary.
Yeah.
The introduction will definitely change, but the structure will be largely the same. And the offer will change, and the strategy, the breakthrough, like what we're actually proposing, will change. But those 4 chunks basically never change.
Yeah, no, I appreciate they're breaking that down for us, mate. We always finish with a quick fire. And hopefully, if you don't have that process in place in your own business, right, just go back and take a quick look at it. All right. Even if you just had a A4 bit of paper, with 4 lines between it, right, and then had a couple of questions in the rapport, discovery, transformation, next steps kind of thing, and go through and ask those questions and take notes as you go. And, that's going to put you in a better position than where you were before.
And anyone who's doing that exercise, great idea. If you want to hand with that, you want to have a chat with me about it, I'd love to help. I'm here to help, here to serve. And if I can add some value to what you're already doing, I'm all.
We will be dropping your details in the show notes as well, Pat. So guys, if you listen to that and you want Pat's help, jump on those and jump over there and hit him up. Let's pivot, mate. As I said, we normally sort of finish the show with a bit of a quick fire and put you in the hot seat.
Feeling a bit nervous. Well,
now, you haven't been pre-warned of any of these because I'm going to actually, change them up as I like to do each time. You mentioned previously that you're an extreme sports athlete as well, right? Which just sounds crazy to most people. How did you get into it?
How did I get into being an extreme sports athlete? I grew up in the 90s in skate parks. I was riding freestyle BMX and rollerblading back in the day and, jumping off stairs and sliding down handrails and half pipes and X Games and all of that stuff, and then got into late teens and early 20s into super bikes and sports bikes and downhill mountain biking as well. And then, it's just a love for going fast and facing my fears is really what it was about. It's about, because I'm full of doubt, I'm full of fear all the time. And I can either let that paralyze me, or I can look it right in the face and let the brakes off and just run off the mountain.
Right?
Yeah. I was in Bali a few years ago. I was on the podium twice at the Asia Pacific World Downhill Champions. Came back to Australia and got into Ninja Warrior. So you're looking at Queensland and New South Wales state champion for the Ninja Games. So just for my birthday this year, so a couple of months ago, I decided to do a solo overnight hike. So I hiked up into the mountains. I'm in Brisbane, so I hiked up to Mount Nebo and back. It ended up being 65 kilometres and about 16 hours of solo hike. So always pushing myself, always doing the scary things. And for me, that's like, if I can look at that scary thing that I'm not even sure if it's even possible, let alone if I could do it, and then I can walk right into that and go for it. And sometimes, take myself out, for sure, that's part of the game. But more often than not, our fear is greater, our ability is greater than our fear. So when we hit it with commitment, if I've got a big gap, clear it in 2 small steps. You've got to send it to make it over the gap, right? So when you hit things with that kind of focus and that kind of commitment, it's amazing what you can accomplish. So I apply that to my clients and their business and their life and go, look, if I can be full of fear and doubt, as you are in your business with this new strategy or this new campaign, and we can do it anyway, and you can get the result, because everything you want, everything in this in this B state that you want to be in, this future vision, is on the other side of your fear and doubt. And I'm going to walk with you and hold your hand, and we're going to get you there to be able to create this business and this life that you really want. A lot of my work is really strategic and logical and practical and working on sales and marketing and strategy. And a lot of it is really transformational and just going, how do we do the scary thing that everything in us is screaming not to do, but we know we have to do because that's where the outcome is. That's where the result is. That's where the goal is.
I completely agree with that. I remember the first time I jumped off a cliff on skis.
Yep.
Must have been as an 11 or 12-year-old. And we'd go up to this cliff and go, there's no way I could drop off that thing. It's got to be
no way
6 times my height, whatever it was. And then I did, at one side, I was like, fuck it, let's just do it. Right? And I remember jumping off, hit the landing, skied away, no problems at all. And turned around and looked back up and I said, wasn't so bad after all. But, it was just that sort of unreasonable fear that I can't do it. And we're so full of these sort of, I guess, fears that sometimes the things that we think we can't do, we actually can, and quite comfortably. We're just holding ourselves.
Well, and to that, I'd add, I mean, it's really important to acknowledge we do have physical limitations, and there are some things that are too big and that you shouldn't try. They're too advanced. They're too, the obstacle or the challenge is too great. And so there's 2 types of fear. I think we've got a type of fear that says you're not thoroughly prepared for the challenge ahead. You either don't have the right equipment or the right training or the right endurance or fitness or whatever it is. You're not ready to actually do that. Like that type of fear, we really need to listen to, because if you push too far, too hard, if you don't have the resources to do that strategy in your business, or you don't have the experience to do that on the mountain. And I didn't know you were a skier, but I've been snowboarding for dozens of resorts across 4 continents. So I love snowboarding too. And it's great because after the powder, then you're just like indestructible because you're going to land on a pillow. Like, let's go, right? You can really, really push it. But the second type of fear, the first type of fear says you're not thoroughly prepared for that challenge. The second type of fear says, and you never will be. Who do you think you are anyway? You can't do that. That's the one you need to feel the fear and do it anyway. The first one we need to pay attention to. But most people are struggling with the second type day in, day out. It's that negative self-talk just going, who do you think you are? You can't do this. You're not good enough to do that. That's for other people. That's not for you. All that bullshit that goes on in our heads. And that's when we need to just go, thanks for sharing, and then get it done.
How do you balance work and family life? I know you're a big family man with your 3 kids. How do you balance work and family life?
Got my awesome dad mug for Father's Day. Dad. So, basically life's complete now. In terms of balance, what came up for me as soon as you asked it was a line from, it was Mel Gibson. What was the movie? We Were Soldiers or Once Were Soldiers. I can't even remember the name of it now. Anyway, he's talking to this young recruit, and Mel Gibson's like the old army captain or general or whatever he is. Yeah, and he's talking to he was the veteran, and he's talking to this young recruit, and the young recruit just found out his wife's pregnant, and they're just about to go out to battle. And he's like, I don't know if I'm going to come back. I don't know if I'm ever going to meet my child. And he's saying to Mel Gibson, how do you do it? How do you balance being a father and a soldier? And I think, for us as entrepreneurs, how do you balance being a family man and an entrepreneur? And Mel looked at him with his sparkling blue eyes and he said, being better at one makes me better at the other. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So for me, being a better father makes me, because I'm having more compassion, more love for my family and my children, makes me a better businessman. And then learning the skills in business and applying myself and being dedicated makes me a better father, a better husband, a better lover, a better family man. And then there's the same on the sports as well, like being a better athlete, being more disciplined in my diet and my training and my focus there makes me a better businessman and a better family man. So, in any area of my life where I can create a small improvement and become a better version of myself, it's going to have a flow-on effect to every other area of my life.
What's one tool that you have in your toolbox that you take with you for every project you work on?
We've talked about scripts. I'd say scripts and templates. Scripts and templates are the foundation. They're the fundamental. There's lots of other tools. There's lots of things. But having a structure for a script and then having a standard set of emails, a standard set of messages, a standard set of SMSs, like however you communicate with the client, after each conversation in the pipeline, there's going to be some communication to back that up. If you've got that ready to go and prepared, and you can just shoot it out and get straight on to the next conversation, or you can do a whole bunch of conversations and then batch all your emails at the end of the day because they're all the same. They're not individual ones, and there's some customization somewhere, but having that standard set of template and that standard structure for your script every single time.
Sounds like a case for automation. You're doing my job for me.
Only because it works, Jim. Only because it's effective, right?
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve. I remember probably a decade ago being really upset when I read remember we talked about the most trusted people in our society. And I'm like, right, I'm going to put salespeople at the top. That's my mission. Salespeople should be the most trusted people. Like when I'm working with a client, they have to trust me. If I'm the least trusted person in society, that's not great start. right? But if I can really identify where they're at, identify where they want to be, and show that I've got the expertise to get them there, then they can, they can trust me to come on that journey with me. I'm like, right, salespeople need to be the most trusted people in society. And it really annoyed me that most of the time they weren't. And now I've realized most salespeople probably deserve that reputation, right? They've got that reputation for a reason. I'm not going to change that. But that was my biggest pet peeve. Now it's more the apathy of, we're facing some major challenges facing humanity. And a lot of people are sitting there going, we're already screwed. We're at a brick wall. No one's backing off the gas. There's no point. It's over. And other people are going, no, it's going to be fine. But most people, I think probably 60, 80% majority, are kind of sitting on the fence going, well, climate change, well, this, well, that. Is it going to, how are we going to go? And I go, look, we can sit here and wonder what's happening, or we can just get on with making it better, right? And it's the apathy of not actually doing anything about whatever the issues are that you're concerned about that really is my biggest peeve, because it's people not living their passion, not living their purpose, not fulfilling their destiny, not even taking a step in that direction. That drives me crazy. It does my head in.
Yeah. How did you meet your wife?
Franka. God. So my wife, Minna, she's Swedish, and I was a single guy traveling the world, backpacking, and met this beautiful Swedish woman up in Stockholm and fell in love. Actually, she'd just broken up with her boyfriend and moved into her brother's place, and she was sleeping on a mattress behind the couch in this one-bedroom apartment. And I met her brother at the motorbike workshop, and he said, I said, look, I'm looking for a place to stay. If you've got a spare room or a couch or a flight of stairs or kind of anything, it's kind of cold outside. And we were getting on really well. And he said, this is perfect. My sister's just moved in and she needs a good man. So you come and stay with me. And I'm like, right. She's on the mattress behind the couch. I'm on the couch. I'm like, oh man, are you kidding me? This is crazy. That's how it happened. That's how it happened, mate. It was crazy times.
We'll finish up with this one.
Sure.
What does your end of day routine look like?
Because everyone does the morning routine, right?
Yeah.
Everyone does the morning routine. End of day routine, probably not super exciting. We after dinner, we have dinner fairly early, and I've got all the lights on automation. So at sunset, they start slowly dimming down, and bedtime's 8 o'clock. So by 8 o'clock in my house, it's quiet and dark, and my teenage kids are all in bed with the lights out and on their way to sleep by 8. But for all teenage parents out there going, what's going on here? How does that happen? Because the kids are still gaming till 10. We generally have no screens after dinner. And then the lights are going down, the music's going down, everything's winding down, as it naturally would if we were living outside. So by 8 o'clock, we're all quite sleepy and we're ready for bed.
Yeah, I'm actually you'll crack it up at bloody 4 a.m. though, aren't you?
Yeah, we get up early and we train, right? We do the ice bath and we do all the things. But in the evening, after dinner, clean the kitchen. Sometimes I'll watch some episodes, a bit of Netflix, Minna and I'll go down. But every single night, we make our tea. So I've got a reishi mushroom and chamomile tea that we boil up. We have some tea. We walk the dog around the block, and that's a chance for Minna and I just to relax and hold hands and talk about our day. And, we're away from the kids. We're away from the world. We can talk about, what's going on for us, what we're hoping for, what challenges, and it keeps us really connected and on the same page with everything. Then we come home, brush our teeth, and go to bed. That's kind of it. I use mouth tape, so I always sticky tape my mouth shut after, we lie in bed for a bit, we snuggle for a bit, say, love you, have a kiss, good night. And then when I roll over, I reach over, grab my tape, stick my mouth shut so I don't snore, but also so my mouth doesn't come open, and so I'm not mouth breathing through the night. So I'm nasal breathing all night, and that's it. Roll over and go to sleep.
I've got to say, mate, as much as having tried that, it's much easier when you don't have a beard to do that.
Yeah, it certainly is. You got to get the wide tape, and even then, it's a mess, right? It's no good at all.
Mate, really appreciate you jumping on today's show and sharing some of your insights and some of your routines that have made you a success in your career. And hopefully our audience today has taken away some good insights and tips that they can apply to take their business to the next level.
Tim, it's been an absolute blast. Thanks so much.
Guys, if you want to know more about Patrick, you can go over to patrickwoodcraft.com. You can find more about the Game Changer project there and Patrick's work. Really awesome guy to get to know. If you've enjoyed today's episode as well, please like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you on another episode.